Listen up. We are here again for another episode of the Construction Mentor Podcast. We have college football week 6 coming to you from another one of my hotel rooms. I mentioned in my last episode, I need to find some efficiency in the way that I operate. I'm traveling a ton for work while I'm also trying to balance my life at home, being a husband and a father. So the best opportunity that I have to do these episodes sometimes is going to be when I'm on the road and I don't have time to get into the studio. So right now I am just south of Richmond. I'll be north of Richmond, just like the song, very shortly to visit a job site. And then I will be heading even further north from there. So again, the opportunity to travel is definitely there in the construction industry, no matter what career path you take. And I'm happy to walk through those opportunities with you at any point. For this episode, we are going to run through the college football matchups of week 6. Why do we do this? We do this because we need to understand that we watch all these college football programs. And if you're a big college football fan like me, you look forward to it every Saturday. But the football team itself is a very small percentage of that student population. It's about 90 to 100 kids, whereas the student population, the fans in the stands, are tens of thousands. So who should feel better about their education? Who will feel better about their wallet after they graduate? Every week when we talk about education, we talk about ROI, how many dollars you put in versus how many dollars you should expect to get out. It's very important to understand the value of your education is not determined by the amount you pay for your degree. The value of your education is determined by the free market, what the free market will pay you after you get that degree. That determines the value of your degree. That is why when you look at the construction industry or majors that are related to construction, they have the highest return on investment. They have the highest starting salaries. And I would argue with the most career paths. So when you get into that career, there is room for you to find your niche, no matter who you feel like you want to become, whether you want to become more business oriented, whether you want to become, a little more standalone and a little more independent, whether you want to start your own business, whether you want to be in sales or business development. No matter what you want to do, there is an abundance. There is a range of opportunities in this industry. When you look at the average college graduate makes about $45,000 to $55,000 per year. So let's just call it 50, meaning that about half of college students, or maybe more than half, are under that $50,000 mark. When you look at the average cost of a private school, the average tuition, you can look this up, is about $38,000 per year. That comes to about, when you get a 6.5% interest rate and you're paying in that monthly for over 30 years to get the lowest payment, when the average tuition for a private college costs $38,000 a year, that is going to cost you about $350,000 over the course of your life. You're going to be paying just under $1,000 a month. You'll be paying $964 a month to pay for that $38,000 a year tuition. That's very important to understand, because if you're only going to be making $50,000 or less, that $1,000 a month, you take that $12,000 out of your salary, you're at $38,000 a year. That's what you have to live off of before taxes are taken out. The poverty line is $30,000 a year. So congratulations. The average college student on the average $38,000 tuition is only living just above the poverty line. You need to be aware of that. You need to be aware of what majors are going to put you far above and beyond that $50,000 mark to get away from that poverty line. Very important. And when we look at some of these schools here that we have today, we're going to see the difference there. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that's not an in-state tuition. You can always go to an in-state school. That's a very good argument, and you should, because the average in-state tuition is about $11,000 a year. But you need to understand that at an average interest rate of 6.5%, that's still going to cost you over $100,000 over the course of your life. Now, that monthly payment will only be about $280, much more manageable. But when you're only making $50,000, that $300 a month, that matters a lot. So that's why we talk about, on this podcast, we talk about mentorship going into construction, architecture, engineering, any sort of that any sort of degree related to those fields, because those tend to pay $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 or more. And the curve for income goes very steep from there. If you're relatively competent in these fields, you're going to be making six figures pretty quickly. So let's talk about these schools. Now, in the first matchup this week, we have number 12 UNC versus number 25 Miami. This is a matchup in the ACC. Between these two schools, there's a pretty stark difference. So let's talk about what the University of Miami, that ticket to the University of Miami is going to cost you about $228,000 a year. That loan on that 6.5% interest rate is going to be about $1,400 a month. That is a tremendously high number. Their top majors are finance, nursing, psychology. The average tuition to starting salary ratio for those three popular majors is a 6.0. Now, you can go to the University of Miami for a mechanical engineering degree and get a ratio of a 3.4. You can come out making $66,400 a year. That is a great starting salary, an okay ratio. Again, I personally would not consider anything above a 3. There are better options out there, but we're talking about the options in this football game. So now we go up to University of North Carolina, the Tar Heels. What are those kids doing? Those kids are taking biology, communication, and behavioral science. Those are the three top majors at the University of North Carolina. Although I love the basketball team, those three majors do not earn above $30,000 a year. So before you even pay the tuition that costs about $36,000 a year, which is going to be, $140,000 and almost $1,000 a month for a loan that we just talked about, right? You're already at the poverty line. Going to the University of North Carolina for biology, communication, or behavioral science will have you earning a salary at the poverty line before you pay for your student loan. I don't see any majors listed that have anything to do with engineering or construction. So this matchup is a beatdown by the University of Miami. It is, it's all about the U. I would rather go to the University of Miami. The students in that fan section are going to fare much better than the Tar Heels of North Carolina. Now, let's go down. Let's not go down. Let's go up and to the left. Let's go to the Pac-12, a top 10 matchup between the University of Oregon. We got the Ducks against the Huskies of Washington, number 8 versus number 7. Now, University of Oregon, what are they known for? I think they're known for making the Nike brand, right? Which is probably why one of their top majors is advertising and marketing. They also have psychology and business. We know how we feel about those majors if you've listened to another episode. Now, again, they are only making between $42,000 and $27,000 for those top 3 majors coming out. The only degree that I see that has anything to do with construction is architecture, and that's $50,000. I mean, at least they're doing double what the psychology kids are. But still not a lot of money when you consider where that puts you after your loan payment in relation to the poverty line. So when we go to the University of Washington, let's look at the Huskies. Now, the Huskies, I should say that these schools have very comparable tuitions. It's $161,000 overall versus $159,000. It's $1,027 per month versus $1,012 per month. So this is pretty apples to apples between these two schools. But the top 3 majors at the University of Washington are social work, biology, computer science, and computer engineering, and mechanical engineering. Now, social work and biology, we know those don't pay much, but computer science at the University of Washington, $90,000 to $100,000 a year for those kids. Not construction related. It could be if you went into construction software, but that's a great salary. And if you wanted to go for mechanical engineering, you could get $76,000 a year. So when you look at these two schools, I mean, it's an absolute beatdown. The kids at the University of Washington are making double what many of the kids in the popular majors at the University of Oregon are. Let me state that again. The students at the University of Washington are graduating with degrees that will earn them double the salary of the students at the University of Oregon. This is an absolute beatdown by the Huskies over the Ducks, and I think that they're going to win this weekend as well. Big win for Washington, statement game, keeping them in the top 25, and they're going to be knocking on the door, coming into the top 4. that's it this week. Those are the two matchups that we have. Again, it is so important to understand tuition to starting salary. You need to understand the investment and what you're going to get in return. And one of the most common things that a lot of people will say to me about that tuition, well, you can go for state school, you can go for loans and grants and all these things. It's not just about money. Okay. You have sweat equity that you're putting in over a long duration here. Right. So when you're in school and you're hitting the books and then you're coming out in internships and you're starting your career, all of that sweat equity matters. That is an investment that you should also be expecting a return on. So even if you're going to school for free, that shouldn't be a justification or a pass to go to a major that doesn't have a great salary coming out. You need to get a return on the investment of your time, your blood, your sweat, your tears. So consider that when you're looking at these schools and you're watching these football games, thinking about what colors you want to wear on Saturday. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you next time. If you like this format, please like, subscribe, share, and go on constructionmentor.org. Go check out that student loan and budget calculator. You can find all of these numbers. The equations are up there. You can do all this stuff yourself. Have a good one.